All right. Hello, Rating 350. I'll keep this one short and sweet. This is about your group presentation. And this slideshow kind of duplicates as your chapter 16 as well. So you can kind of use it for both. But generally, I want to talk to you about the expectations for your actual presentation since I won't see you before that. So linked here in the slideshow itself is a link to the assignment, which you can, of course, read yourself. But I just want to go over a few of the things. So obviously you're presenting with your group. So due to this being a hybrid class, there could be conflicts with a person not being able to be at your presentation. I've sent you an email to that effect. If someone can't come, you can decide, how you want to proceed. If you want to give them credit, partial credit, none, whatever. But you have to kind of communicate that to me, right? I don't know what you're going to do. So if they're not there, I'm just going to assume that you're good with it. And that's kind of the default. If you're like, hey, they never really did anything and they didn't show up, so they don't really deserve credit, you got to let me know. So anyway, all that aside, your team's presentation is to your client. And this is the thing that gets the most confused, I think, is that usually people just kind of present like, oh, this is our project, this is what we did, but you're kind of trying to talk to that specific client that you're working for. So that's important for you to complete. So you do need to develop some type of visual aid, whether that is Prezi, PowerPoint, something of that nature. And you can do that however you like. Most people use, those two, Google Slides, whatever, but you're welcome to use whatever else you would like. So we're looking for 12 to 15 minutes in total. 12 is kind of that minimum, so I'll let you know when you're at 10, and then I'll let you know when you're at 12, right? Just to give you a sense of, okay, you're there or you're close. And then you're going to kind of focus on explaining the problem that you dealt with, presenting the research, explaining the specific conclusions and recommendations. First of all, you are probably going to explain a few things that your client doesn't necessarily need to hear, because just for context for the class. So it's okay if you say something like, oh, I know they would already know that, as long as, it does not take up a bunch of time. The thing that you don't want to do is just read your report outright. The dress code for this is up to your discretion, knowing who your client is and what they would expect if this was a professional presentation that you were doing for them. So whether that's going to be fully formal, business casual, completely casual, you guys have to kind of make that call of what's going to be acceptable. So the common errors that I see and what usually people get knocked down for points, because remember, this is a comm class, so what I'm really wanting to grade you on is your presentation skill, and not just the way that you speak, but also the rhetorical choices that you make in your slides, the choices that you make in switching up speakers, the tone that you use. This isn't a speech course, but it's important that you are able to communicate your ideas clearly, right? So starting with a poor introduction, students are always just like, oh, hey, I'm Jake. This is Jan. Yeah, we're going to talk about this, right? Boring. So try even starting out with a question, or audience participation is usually helpful. Awkward transitioning is very common, where like, okay, we planned for Dan to speak next, but he doesn't realize it, and then you're just staring at him and he doesn't know what's going on, and then he's like, oh yeah, weird. So just try to work on those transitions. I know that this is an online course, so that makes it a little bit more challenging because you aren't going to be in person as frequently. But try to at least practice even a couple of times if you're able to. Repeated information where there wasn't good coordination between team members. So like, you already talked about this whole chart, but now I thought I was supposed to talk about it, so I just say the same thing. Not switching up the speakers enough. I think this is like the kiss of death to me that makes it seem very like amateur-y, is when like Joe does slides 1, 2, 3, and Annie does slides 3 or 4, 5, 6, and right, and then they never talk again. So that really wouldn't happen that way in a formal presentation, like in that way, when then everyone stands up there really awkwardly. So you kind of want to like put them in a little bit more cohesively, and the team member should have some knowledge of the things the other people are going to talk about. Sometimes that happens where you can tell the person next to them has no clue what's going on, and the handoff's very awkward. Reading off slides and notes, only is very frustrating, or just reading the report material, just like being like, this was our introduction, this was our purpose. Horrible, right? And just having a general lack of preparation. I didn't put this on here, but I think also conclusion is one that happens a lot. You have to plan for the ending, right? Just like if you were writing a paper, right? We're kind of like, in conclusion, this is, making a summary, and having an ending, not just getting to the end of the slideshow and being surprised and then going, oh, I guess we're done. Any questions, right? And then being prepared to answer questions from myself or from your classmates, who will hopefully have intelligent questions for you, and you'll ask some of them, and that sort of thing. So the rest of the slideshow, I'm not going to go over completely. Just this last one, where I want you to know that the order that you're going to go in is the order that your teams are listed on that list. So you can kind of look and see, okay, our team's first or our team's last or whatever. If you really need to switch that up for, like, somebody has, something that they must go to, or they have to be late or something like that, I'm open to that, but please let me know. But that's kind of the way that it's going to go. So I will give you a little bit of time to work when you come to class if you want it. To just kind of talk and, go through everything one more time, and then we'll do the presentations, and then we'll go from there. So that's kind of, as you can see, there's a whole bunch of slideshow, and this is the information that is about presentations. I recommend that you look over it, and this will be the components that would show up on your exam about presenting as well. So good luck. I look forward to hearing these. And again, of course, as usual, any questions, let me know.